going?
Hey, it's going good. I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad we could find a time to actually sit down and hang out. I know the artist schedule is a little bit crazy, so thank you for working with me on that.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I was going to ask you, first off, what's your connection to Kansas City and the film industry here?
So I got into the Kansas City film industry in 2023 when I had just graduated. I came back from a bit of a study abroad situation, and I I had a professor at KU who knew a filmmaker in Kansas City that was looking for a casting call, and they were looking for a younger actress to be in something. And then since then, I've made a ton of friends and I've participated in a ton of different projects. I'm an actor, I'm an assistant director, I've done wardrobe, I've done PA stuff, I've done possibly everything under the sun that doesn't require me to have a degree in knowing about cameras or lighting.
Wow, you've done more than I have. That's really great.
I'm tired.
That's great. Well, you said that you studied abroad. Where did you study abroad?
It was like a work study situation. I studied in California for half the summer of 2023, and then I went to Barcelona. Um, I had a friend who got a job through Gordon Research Conferences, which is this science research conference thing where you host all these scientists for a week that are studying something super specific. And they needed managers to run the hotel events of it all. And so we were just out there setting up meeting boards, telling people where to go. Here's the meeting room. This is where you're going to eat lunch. See you in a week.
Wow. Wow. Do you have a degree in management of some sort or theater?
No, I have a theater performance degree from KU, but part of my studies at KU was in administration, and so I'm really suited for things like assistant directing because I'm very like spreadsheet oriented, right? There was a scholarship program thing it's like an ambassadorship at KU called the Lauren Kennedy Ambassadors, and those are the students that run auditions, they run the student-led events like the banquet at the end of the year, stuff like that. And that's an administrative scholarship so that you can get into theater with more than just an acting degree. You can kind of have some extra back end stuff that you can fall onto.
Wow. So did you grow up acting and performing?
Yeah, it's actually one of my earliest memories, which is so cool. Uh, my mom tells me this story sometimes. My brother and I, when we were kids, were super introverted, and we didn't it was hard for us to make friends. We didn't want to get out there. I was very skittish. I'll speak for myself. I don't know. Bennett got better, I think a little faster than I did, but I was very introverted and I was very scared to make friends. And my mom had talked to some of her mom friends and asked like what a good way to get kids out of their shell is, especially if they are like me and they do gymnastics, they do dance, and they said they should go to theater camp. And so my first play, I want to say 4 or 5. It was before kindergarten, so I think I was 4, and it was a play about birds. Every kid was also probably 3 or 4 years old. Everybody had 2 lines. Everybody's a different bird. I was a hummingbird. My brother was an owl. And then from there, I was like, oh, I want more lines than 2 lines. I'm I'm gonna keep
Wow.
with this.
Wow. So does your brother do performance as well?
No, but he will always say we went to theater camp together again the next summer, and we did Aristocats Junior, and I wanted to be the lead so bad, but Bennett was one of the only boys in the theater camp, so he got the lead male role, and so I couldn't be the female lead role. But also they gave me like the goose. They gave me Amelia the goose. I was not even close to being the lead, and he will hold that over my head to this day. He's like, "You may have an acting career, but I was the lead when you were support."
That's right. So you went to KU and you studied theater.
Yes, I did.
What's that like going to college and studying theater? What's that like?
It was really, really fun, but I will also say I unfortunately spent a good chunk of my college experience during COVID. And so a lot of
Mm.
my theater degree was from my house at my desk, kind of like this through Zoom, trying to do a monologue while sitting down and not even thinking about theater, coming in, having slept in all day. Like sometimes I would be in bed while I'm in class. You know, before we had any protocols for these types of things, you could kind of get away with anything. And so it took me a while during college to come around to fully participating and remembering that I'm pursuing this degree because I love it and because it's what I want to do with the rest of my life and not just because I'm wasting time until the next thing happens to me. Because I don't know, I think we all experienced that kind of COVID brain fog where we weren't as passionate or we were finding different passions. Like everybody started taking way more walks and making sourdough bread. Like I was kind of in that realm. So it wasn't everything that I thought it was going to be, but it turned out eventually, by my junior and senior year, we were taking our masks off and going back to regular performances. It turned out to introduce me to some of the best people that I know and some best friends that I have to this day, including Tamia, who directed a show that I was in at KU, who got me my first film job in Kansas City by knowing Max, who you know Max
Hmm.
from 916.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up with that connection. So I was introduced to a lot of really great theater and a lot of really great people, but there was about a year and a half where the participation from me was super low. And I think that anybody who went through school during COVID could probably relate to something similar.
Yeah, I wonder, like, I started acting maybe 7 years ago, and I didn't have a class. I showed up as an extra a few times, and then had a few lines in something, and then actually got a fairly big role. And when I showed up, I honestly, I don't feel like I was as prepared as I should be that first day of filming, because the preparation is beyond what people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the rest of the film, I was so much better prepared. I understood so much better. In the end, actually, I really think I did a good job for a first project in particular. But I
Nice.
wondered, like, what advantage does a theater degree give you when you show up on set for the first time?
That's a good question. It took me a while to adjust to it as well because it is very different from theater. But luckily, in my personal opinion, I think that training in theater and then going to film is kind of like training in ballet and then going to do contemporary or like hip hop or something like that. It gives you the foundation to know about technique and rhythm and breath and things like that, but you can kind of stylize it to be whatever you want it to be after that.
Hmm.
Um, and so when I first got onto my first film set, I was going very strictly by the rules. Like I'm going to do this certain kind of character prep for this role. I'm going to only change these certain things. I wasn't focused on things like the subtleties in my face because I'm so used to needing the people in the back row to see what my emotions are. So I was pulling back in certain ways, I was pushing forward in other ways. A lot of people like to say that theater is a marathon and film is a sprint. And so it's the same technique, but you do have to speed it up and also do it out of order. And also it's not the same at all, but also it sort of is. It was very strange for me, basically.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I've done a lot of acting with people that have theater backgrounds. And I just remember there was one, and this guy, he's a great actor, but we were doing a scene where someone died, and he is mostly plays, but
Mhm.
he was in this movies and movies occasionally too. And when the person died, his reaction, he went like this, he goes, and which of course didn't make it into the movie. But when he did it, I was like shocked. And
The drama.
it's right. It's because that's what, and I've actually seen him in a play. He's a friend of mine. I went and saw him in a play, and that same kind of persona is outstanding in theater.
Hmm.
Outstanding. This overemphasis because I'm 150 feet away from where he was, and
Yeah.
he was just he's a great actor. But I think the transition of I always talk loud anyway, but the transition of not talking so loud, not
Yep.
doing such big, people just need to see your face look sad. They don't need to see the dramatic, yeah, thing. And I imagine in some ways, I think it's probably easier for theater folks to tone it down. Um, where I don't know. I've worked with some very experienced folks, which I feel like, wow, they are really quality at certain things. And I've worked with people that it's their first time, and some of them are outstanding their first time,
Hmm.
but that's more the exception, in my opinion. But, like from what I've
Yeah,
seen, but I have seen people that are great from the get-go. And
totally.
I just wondered when you showed up, like that first role you had in a movie outside of KU stuff, your first thing in Kansas City, what was your part? Like, tell us more about your first start.
Sure. So that connection from Tamia to Max, Max was starting this company that you know all about, Kyle. It's the new medium that is sweeping TikTok right now, the
Yes.
vertical soap opera situation. And Max and his business partners were getting in kind of on the ground floor. If you think about it, some of that stuff has really blown up in the recent years, and they were kind of ahead of it. So this was their very first demo that they needed to send to a company overseas to show them, hey, we can produce this. We know how to flip the camera sideways and we can make it super dramatic. And
Hmm.
so they sent over a short script for I can't remember everybody's name. Or like what everybody's role was, but I know for a fact that I was like in a Cinderella position. I was like, there was a stepmom who hates me, there's a stepsister who hates me, and dad has stopped caring about the things I have to say, even though they're like stealing money from me. It's all very soapy, dramatic stuff. And it was just one day of shooting. We're just going to go to this rental house in Overland Park, a couple $100 thrown your way, uh, read these couple of lines, get slapped a few times because, always got to get slapped a few times. If you're not getting slapped, why am I watching? And it was super simple. And we ended up fostering a great friendship there because I was super nervous. And something, if you can't tell, when I get super nervous, I want to talk. I'm like, let's just be friends because let's ease the tension. I'm feeling weird. La, 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 who are you? What's going on? And I ended up making some great friends, which was cool. And then I got brought back the next month when they did end up getting signed on with that company to create a full series production. And it was called, at the time, it was called The General. And it was a vertical soapy thing where I was the lead actress of this story about a young girl who is kind of taken in by a family friend as a ward, and he's like 3 or 4 years older than she is. And as they grow older, she starts to kind of catch feelings for him. And then, of course, there's like one of her friends that wants to come in and steal him away. He's involved in some military drug raid, and so tragedy strikes and all that good stuff. But yeah, it was just through one of those weird freak coincidences. And it ended up being kind of a low pressure first experience to being thrown into like the lead role of a 7 day shoot where you are in every single scene save for like maybe 3 hours total over the course of those 8 days, right? So I'm
Wow.
glad I got a little taste, but then they just threw me to the wolves. But I will say, I think that's the best way to learn. It's kind of like you were saying, like on your first day, you were feeling kind of underprepared, but by the time you had gotten through your first day and into that second, it's like, oh, I know how this works. You just have to like kind of live in it and get some muscle memory going, I think.
How do you learn lines?
Good question. I have gotten this is one of my skills that I am proud of as an actor. There are things that I've let slip over the years through COVID, through other trainings, but I did a play when I was in college called Everybody, and I had to memorize every single role because the audience was going to vote that night for what role they actually wanted you to play. So you had to have all of them ready just in case you were going to play that role. And since then, I can read through a script or a scene like twice and I'll just have it down.
Really?
It's crazy now, but
Oh my
before
God.
I
I
would
torture
like,
myself and then I still screw it up.
well, what I used to do, which I think is helpful, is in high school, my teacher taught me this method. It's you do it 3 times. The first time you get to hold your script, the second time you get to call for line, but you can't hold your script, and the third time you just have to get through it no matter what. And then after those 3 times, you are going to think about the lines that you missed no matter what, and you will study them, and you will think about the moment that you messed up. So you'll it's like the rule of thirds. Like that third time is the charm. You'll have it down, but you've got to do them in succession, just right there.
Wow, that's interesting. I have a picture I wanted to show you. Let me get
Okay.
my, this will take a moment. I'm not an expert at this.
That's okay. No
All
worries.
right. Share. All right. Don't worry, I'll make it look better whenever we actually do it here.
Oh, that's okay.
Let me. Can you see that picture?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
What is that?
That was such a fun photo shoot. Oh my goodness. Okay, so those demos for that company, we did one of those in like September, and then in February or March, we decided to do 10 because this new platform that the company wanted to work with needed to see if we had a range and if we could give them 10 samples of our best work, and then they would post those demos on their platform. Everybody would vote for their top 5 or however many it was, favorite ones, and those are the ones that were going to get made. And so this was one of the options that we had. It was called The Queen, and it was about, as you can see, Carrie Ann, God bless, another local KC actress. We play kind of these enemies in a Renaissance or Rococo style era, and she ends up killing me because she wants to be the queen, and she is somehow in succession to me. And when I when she like kills me, she like knocks my head on the corner of the table, and then I'm supposed to wake up in the present day, but with all of the memories that I have as a queen, but in the body of somebody who already exists in the present day. So it's a very silly concept of a very royal British person trying to understand what the heck a phone is and why can I touch this and what are these pictures, stuff like that.
That's hilarious. I tell you, the one, and I had a small role in it, and I think you had a larger role. True Gentleman, I think is what it was called.
Hmm.
It was
Yep.
kind of the same thing in reverse of what you just said.
Yep. Yes, it was.
I have another one here. I know you're going to be in the Fringe this year. Was this last
Hmm.
year?
Yes, this was last year. This was for a play called That Woman, the monologue show, which was super cool. The woman there on the left, that's Molly Breen. She tours a play from the Tennessee Playwright Studio around to different Kansas or to different fringe festivals across the nation. And it's called That Woman, the monologue show. And it's about the mistresses that slept with JFK and about the things that they learned from him based on their real life testimonials. And so I got to play a woman named Mary Pinchot Meyer, and Mary Pinchot Meyer was his next door neighbor, apparently, or like across the street neighbor. And they ended up having an affair after she divorced her husband. And so that was a really cool exploration of what was going on in that time and what the media wanted you to hear about versus what these ladies had to say. That was a
Yeah,
cool one.
that is really cool. I recognize Whitfield in there too. Let's see.
Yeah, that girl's everywhere.
She is. What is this?
That is from True Gentleman, actually. That is when we were on our 1920s themed soapy shoot. I was the villain character she's the evil
Yes.
stepsister. I
Yes.
gotta tell you, after that first show that I did with them, they were like, "Girl, your face is too expressive. You got to be evil from here on out. You're not gonna be any demure lead. No, you're gonna mess these girls up." So that's from that shoot that we were on together.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw something that you were in and you were slapping people, and I always
Yeah,
love to see you slapping people. It's so dramatic. It is so fun. Um, I guess like how many times have you slapped people in movies and things?
I've lost count at this point. There was one where I got slapped 4 times in a row, and I didn't even speak in between. I don't even think I could count. It's got to be upwards of like 20 or 30.
Wow.
It's the
Wow, that's a
drama.
lot.
It's
Yeah,
one
I
of these,
noticed that you're either slapping or getting slapped a lot in these.
usually both.
I guess you're doing a lot of the vertical series.
Mhm.
What other projects are you working on?
Good question. I've just wrapped up a couple of short films for some local filmmakers that have been super cool. I just did one with Jesse Vanderviver and his team of wonderful creatives that are around him for the IFC KC 135 competition that happened in either April or May. I think it was May, question mark. Um, that was super cool. I won the Best Actor award from that competition,
Wow.
which I was very, very proud of. I couldn't even attend that day. They had to text me about it later, and I was like, no. um, Couple of those, and then right now I am working on a play, as you mentioned, for the Kansas City Fringe Festival this year. Will go up in almost exactly a month from today. I just looked at the corner of my screen. Holy crap! Um, so yeah, that'll be up for 5 performances in July. And then other than that, I'll be on the next vertical that they're doing as the second AD. So I'll be behind the scenes this time.
Okay. I think I have a sentence or two in that coming up.
Do you really?
Yeah, very,
Yay, I'll see you there.
very, very small, very small role. Um, uh, so let's see. You're from Topeka, though, originally, correct?
Yes, I am.
You know, you'd never told me that. Do you know how I know that?
How?
I, I teach classes on de-escalation full time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gone weeks at a time. I actually taught a class in Topeka, and there was someone that worked in the hotel, and I was printing off a script or an audition or something, and I was talking to him about it, and he said, "I know someone who does a lot of acting in Kansas City," and he said your name, and I said, "I absolutely know her," and I actually showed him a video of you in a hospital bed whenever I'm pleading for your life or whatever
When
that
you're
for
my
you to get
dad.
married. And he said, I always thought maybe she can put Topeka on the map. That I don't know
The
his name
capital of
though.
Kansas.
I don't know his name, but yeah, that's what he
Darn
told me.
it. Oh,
So
I'll have to find out. Oh, you'll
he
have to
was,
describe to me what he looks like later or something.
yeah, I was working at like Governor's Hotel or something, but yeah,
Oh,
he had told me that he hoped you'd put him on the map.
that's hilarious. I can't believe
So
you found
yeah,
somebody I
yeah, it was
know.
just funny because a lot of times I try not to use my own ink when I print things, so
Me
I
neither.
have the option when I go to hotels to print off things sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Um, you talked about you went like you were in plays as a child,
Mhm.
and then in high school were you in plays there as well?
Definitely. Yeah, when I got to high school, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep doing theater or not because it was like my last year to do theater camp. Because eighth grade, you're not a kid anymore. You're 14 now, you're in high school. So I wasn't sure. And then in high school, or at my high school, we had to go to a club every single Wednesday. So you had to pick something to go to, and all of them looked boring except for thespians. So I went, and then I never looked back, and I did every play and musical that I possibly could. But only musicals in high school. I never did those after or before that. I was too embarrassed. I didn't want to do it, but it was fun at the time.
So you sing and dance both?
Yeah, I've been dancing since I think I started in like fifth grade, and then I had done like some ballet in kindergarten or something. I did that until I graduated, and then I was a choir singer at my church, for our kids choir from I think you can start when you're 11 or 12 and then until I graduated high school as well. So I am like classically trained in music theory and all of that good stuff. And so if you hand me a piece of sheet music, I can usually kind of figure it out. But that helped me a lot getting into musicals because that music is a lot easier to read than this church stuff with all these different parts and things.
Yeah,
Crazy.
excellent. And you're doing something in the Fringe Festival with someone I don't know, but I've seen her name.
Yeah, you might have
Luna?
seen her
No.
on set maybe because she does some of these verticals too.
Okay.
Luna Serenova.
Luna Serenova. I couldn't think of her name for sure. And you and her are doing a project together.
Yes, we are. It's called Alibi. It's going to be just a one act straight play. It's about, it's inspired by a script that she wrote when she was in college. It was for like a 10-minute script prompt for this class that said, write a 10-minute script about two people who are in a place and they don't know how they got there. So what she did is she had these two girls wake up in bed together and they couldn't remember how they had gotten there from the night before. And it turned into this whole incredible plot. And she showed it to me when it was like January and Fringe openings were just about to happen. And I was like, we don't have to have a script ready, but do you want to make this into an hour-long thing and make it a full play? And she was like, hell yeah, I do. So since then, we've been writing it ourselves. We started rehearsals 2 weeks ago, last week, 2 weeks ago, and we will go up very soon. It's about these two girls. One is a New York native, and she is a notorious anonymous LGBTQ blogger. And she keeps her identity a secret because she's actually engaged to a man. And then there's the other girl that she wakes up with, who I play. Her name's Molly. She is very closeted bisexual. She's got a boyfriend back in Pennsylvania. She's just visiting for Mackenzie's 25th birthday. She didn't mean to get into all of this. And they figure out their struggles together, and they're like blizzarded in, so they have to hang out, and chaos ensues from there.
Wow. And this is going to be a 1 hour play at the Fringe. Do you know anything other, like where it's going to be, the details and the
Yes,
time? Yeah.
we are performing at the Wims Base in North Kansas City, which is a primarily LGBTQ theater space, which I'm so honored to be a part of. That I saw my friend Brad in a play there. It was amazing. So it's going to be at the Wims Base on the second and third and fourth weekends of July. I have specific dates. If you follow at lenglth KC Productions on Instagram, we will be updating with showtimes and all kinds of advertisements there. That's spelled LILITHKC Productions. So if you follow us there, I will have all the show dates and times for you and the address for the WIM space and everything like that.
Very good. Um, you talked about that you could memorize scripts fairly quickly. How do you understand your characters?
I like to do a couple of things when I prepare for a character. the first thing I do, and this is so Gen Z cheesy, so please forgive me. I like to make a playlist for all of my characters, something that I think that they're listening to at the time of their experience of whatever is happening. So if you look on my Spotify, I've got playlists that are just names, and they're not for people, they're not for other people, they're for me as Claire, as this person, that person, whatever. So I'll start there, and that's just because I am a very abstract thinker until I can kind of pull all my thoughts together. So I like to kind of create a vibe and environment first, and then from there I'll do a character map. And for me, that looks like understanding a character's age, what their parents were like. Did they grow up with siblings? Where did they grow up? What season is it right now? What is their favorite season? What's the kind of media they consume, especially based on what year it is, which means that sometimes I have to get into some dramaturgy and get into the historical context of things. Luckily, I've been doing mostly modern things recently, so that has been helpful. And then for scripts that have more abstract characters, like with the IFC KC film that I just did called One More Time, I just have to talk to the director extensively because usually they have a lot of thoughts. And then from there, we can ask each other questions and build from there. But yeah,
Wow. Yeah, so with if you and Luna, you're both kind of writing it together, you're both starring in it. Is one of you the director, or do you have a director, or are you both sharing the responsibility?
we've gone about it in a collaborative way. What we've got a team of four actors, so it's Luna and I as the leads, and then we each have someone playing our boyfriends. We have Cole Rockhold and Brad Mathewson, and then we have our stage manager Connor Maloney. Connor is he was my stage manager for almost every single play that I did at KU. He is incredible. If anybody is watching this that needs a stage manager, hire him immediately. Give him millions of dollars. He's incredible. He's got an amazing eye for things. So if Luna and I are in the moment, he can be on the other side of it and we can ask him specific questions and he'll be able to like kind of keep it cohesive and let us know what the overall dynamic looks like if we're spending too much time over here, if we've been standing for too long. And then from there, we also have Brad and Cole hopping in, giving suggestions, and then Connor will just be the one to kind of rein us in and be like, okay, we've spent a lot of time on this. Let's try it once.
That's great. Yeah, sometimes you need that. A
Yeah.
very Kansas City question.
Ooh, okay.
What's your favorite barbecue restaurant?
You can't ask me that. You can't.
You don't eat
Uh
barbecue?
oh no, there's so much great barbecue. I don't know if I could decide.
You can
I
name more than
love
one if you'd like.
no, I'm gonna zero in. I'm gonna make the commitment. I'm gonna say my roommates and I during the winter, we used to get Gates all the time, by the one by you and KC. Um, and it's got a warm spot in my heart. It makes me so happy. They're burnt ends. People cannot sometimes I go to a barbecue place in this city and people burn the absolute crap out of their ends. They're still supposed to be tender, just charred on the outside. I should be able to chew it still. Anyway, Gates does it right. And that's
You
all I have to
know,
say
I
about that.
I love Gates, their burn-in sandwiches because they break up the meat and the barbecue sauce is spectacular. It is my favorite barbecue sauce there is.
Me too.
There's another one you ought to try. What is it called? What is it called? I actually have a bottle. I'm not going to hold it up. I'm not
Oh,
going to get it and
yeah.
say the name.
Yeah, no free sponsorship.
It is Smoky KC.
Oh, I
Smoky
don't know that one.
KC. It's a barbecue. They only sell barbecue sauce, and they won the American Royale with over 300 barbecue sauces. They won as the top barbecue sauce, and I have to admit it's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So those are the only two I buy, are Gates and whatever I've already said. I've already forgotten the name of it, but
Yeah,
it's
the
really good.
smoky, the
Smoky
one.
KC, yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to write that down. Yeah, my regulars are Gates and Sweet Baby Ray's. Love Sweet Baby Ray's. It's not local, but it's delicious.
That smoky KC tastes a lot like Sweet Baby Ray's with a tiny bit of red pepper.
And I love red pepper. Kyle,
Yeah, it's
stop.
pretty good. It's pretty good. You have to look it up. Um,
Grocery list, where is it?
so, do you think, like right now, you are working regularly as an actress or an actor, as well as writing, directing, assistant directing? Um, do you do anything else, or is this your source of income? Is this what you do?
This is not everything that I do. I wish that it was. There was a period when it was because there was just some more. consistency happening. And um, unfortunately, now I do also have a part-time job, but it's an incredible job with incredible people, and I couldn't be happier with the extra spot that I found. It's called Creative Culture in Westport, Kansas City. It's a craft studio where you can come in and do a DIY craft. It's like a great date spot, and families like to come, and we've got a splatter studio you can suit up in. But the great thing about that spot is that a lot of other artists work there, mostly visual artists, of course, but other artists are there. And so our manager is really great about giving us time off to pursue certain projects. And I don't know any other part-time service job that would allow me something like that. So God bless Courtney and Scobie for giving me this great opportunity that I can get some tips at and also take a week off at a time if I need to.
Well, the one thing that I have not been like in the creative community, like all my life. I really like the creative community. Everybody's accepting and let you be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something, it's like an open heart to whatever it is that people want to do if it makes them happy. And I really appreciate being a part of that community here in Kansas
Yeah,
City. I really do appreciate that. Um,
totally.
is there any advice you would give to people, maybe someone new into creativity and performance?
Hmm. I would say go do it. Um, and what that means to me is just if there is a free project out there that is unpaid and it seems like the people there are passionate and they want you to be part of something, don't say no. Just go try it. If you hate it, then you will know if you hate it. But if you don't ever try, you're not going to know, first of all. And then, second of all, as a performer specifically, this is the biggest piece of advice I can give. On a film set, they don't let you move equipment. They don't let you help out with any of these extra things. You can't pick up any slack because when you are, I hate being called talent on set, but when you're talent, you need to stay well, you need to stay uninjured, no pulling muscles, carrying heavy equipment for the lighting crew. So basically, you are rendered useless until you are on screen. The least you can do is be prepared, know your lines, keep yourself hydrated, and don't be a pill, show up on time, make a friend or two. If you need some alone time, just tell everybody, hey, I'm gonna need some time in the corner over there to get into character. So I'll talk to you guys in 30. Communicate, be there, show up. It's a great opportunity to be a performer. Not everybody gets that opportunity. Some people are stuck in jobs that they would rather not be doing because they'd rather be performing. And so if you get the opportunity, be prepared, be on time, be a freaking nice person about it. Okay. That's what I have to say.
Well, speaking of that, that's great advice. Have you ever had sets where there's people that aren't as nice?
Yes. Yes, I have.
No
I've
names, but tell us about the experience.
I've run into some divas. I've run into some. There are, especially in recent years, I don't think it's as acceptable to be blatantly mean. So a lot of people have gotten really good at being passive aggressive or just aggressive enough that you can't really call it out without being able to like debunk it, if that makes sense. So it's a lot of I'd say some of these sets require somebody like me to be relatively conventionally attractive. So that means I've got to have my hair updated. I've got to come, excuse me, with my full face of makeup, no zits allowed, all of that good stuff. And I've caught some really nasty comments from people about the way that I look and if I'm going to fit into this role, this is what I need to be doing. Here's some advice for you on how to we can't shoot you straight on because your shoulders are too broad, so you can't put your hair up and we have to shoot you from an angle only. Things like that that will just kind of fog your spirit down. And the only piece of advice I have for that is to take a break when you need it. Don't believe people who don't know you very well. And if there's something that they want to change about you that you can't change in 5 seconds, it's not worth thinking about for more than a few minutes. So grieve the thing that happened and then keep it pushing.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I wouldn't have thought people would say negative things about your appearance. You're my daughter, for goodness sake. No, just kidding.
Yeah, my dad will come beat you up. Happy Father's Day, by the way.
So have you had a lot of dads on set?
I've had actually no. You've been my main dad. I've had like stepmoms that have been mentioned around, but usually it's more of like a stepsister thing. So I've only had a mom and a dad, and it's been you and oh gosh, I can't remember her name now. Oh no. Love you, mom. Sorry. I'll comment her name on
Well,
whatever this is posted on if I find it.
I a lot of times like they want and a lot of things like the main characters a lot of times are people in their 20s and 30s. They want like not saying they, I'm using they, but they want
Vaguely.
people that are young, attractive, males and females, and but they need to have a father or an uncle or a boss, and that's a lot of times what I
Who you
am.
gonna call?
Yeah, that's what I am a lot of times. So it's but I'm glad you're doing well, and I wouldn't take those comments too serious either. I agree with you on that. How do you relax when you're not doing this? Because you're kind of a high energy gal. How do you bring it down?
Question. Um, I what do I do in my free time? I love spending time with my friends. I go to Lawrence a lot because my some of my friends that have just graduated college are still there, and my mom lives there. So I love to go see her and her puppy Murphy. I love walking. I love finding new places to walk around. I like to drive up to like Parkville and go walk around the beautiful nature sanctuary and things like that. I love what do I do? I hang out with my boyfriend a lot. Quinn is a PA and sometimes also second AD on these vertical sets as well, so we get to work together, which is cool.
That's
So
nice.
we hang out. I like to crochet. I hand crocheted a blanket in the other room, which is not in here, so that's embarrassing, but I swear it exists. I like to do arts and crafts. I love deep cleaning my house. I'll do it even if it's already clean. If I'm stressed out, if I'm like brimming with energy, the headphones are going on and the Lysol is coming out. So that's a nice time. I also I really love cooking. I really love going to the farmers market on Saturdays and then finding something weird to cook that night. So I would say, yeah, traipsing around, traveling, and eating food, making things. And I can't lie, I love to doom scroll on my phone. I love it. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I can't stop.
So what about what are your favorite meals to cook?
Ooh, good question. There's this recipe I found online that's like a boars and cheese salmon pasta, and it's all one dish. You just like chop up some tomatoes, put one of those garlic and herb boars and cheeses in the middle, put your salmon fillets around, butter, 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 lemon, 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 any seasoning you want, oven for like 30 minutes, and you're done. And that's dinner. And then you boil up some pasta and just serve it over that. Gorgeous. My mom's chili recipe is amazing, and I will stand on that to the day I die. Best chili in the whole world. I make it every winter in absolute gallons. Right now, I have been very into a big breakfast rather than any other meal. So I love to get into like the toast and the sausage and the eggs and the avocado on the side, and we're gonna make a fancy salsa to go on top of it, and do do because breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Very cool. Like, what do you when you go to the farmer's market, what are you looking for?
Fruit all day. In the summer, the strawberries are super cheap and they're always so much juicier and sweeter than the ones from the store. So if you're in Kansas City, if you're in Kansas City and you want good strawberries, go to the river market Saturday morning, get there early so you don't get all the ones that are on the bottom. You will have the best day. I had to get two because I got one carton for the drive home and then one carton for when I got home. Thank you very much.
What do you like about Kansas City in general, besides the farmers markets? What do you like about Kansas City?
I love all the different neighborhoods and how different they all are, but also how cohesive the community feels. Kansas City is it's small enough that you can recognize pretty much anybody in whatever industry you work in, but it's also big enough that you can go to the grocery store without worrying about, oh, it's that guy that I know and I look like a bum right now. When I was in Lawrence, everybody knew each other all the time, and I couldn't really leave without knowing I was going to run into somebody. So now I got to put on an outfit and I got to not look like a bum. And yeah, I love that versatility, and I love how arts rooted it is. It makes me so happy to run around and see murals everywhere and see all of my friends get into some kind of art community and keep it alive, even if they have some other job that they do as well. Art is so important to this city, and I love that it is so up and coming now and that people are gaining some real traction in building that into real industries here. And I can't wait to see where it goes. It just feels like it's going in such a great direction.
What times have you been the lead in things?
Mm,
One of the top 4 or 5 characters. I call those leads, not just the one, top 4 or 5.
okay, okay. Good question. In my like film career or like ever?
It could be whatever you'd like. I was thinking
Okay.
films. because people could
Making
actually
films.
find those. But
Oh,
it
okay.
could be theater if you have like a theater thing that you did that you're really proud of.
Okay, I'll do mostly films. I'll do mostly films. Um, let's see. A couple that I've enjoyed. Oh, that's hard. I have some fun ones. I just did a short film with my friend Tyler Dean, who is part of the Best Boys broadcast company. They make short films that are super silly. It was like a black and white Star Trek parody, and my character was named Other Doctor. All of the lines were very silly and kind of like innuendos for sex, which was super fun. It was just like a day in the basement, recording something fun. So that was super cool. It's called The Day After Tomorrow or the day before tomorrow. Something happens to tomorrow. I really enjoyed One More Time, which is the film I was talking about with Jesse Vanderviver. I play both characters, kind of Severance style. That was like the coolest thing ever. I had to keep switching back and forth into my outfits. I had a body double. I would say that's number two. I really enjoyed doing True Gentleman with 916. That villain character was so much fun and it was 20s themed. So we got to go to all of these great locations. We had super cool costumes that like really livened up the theater kid in me. Um, so that's definitely a top 916 project for me. Oh, so many fun things. I also got to direct and write my own short film with no dialogue, and I performed in it with my friend Nicole. It's called I Know You. It's actually in my link tree on my Instagram if anybody wants to go watch it. It's just on YouTube. That was a no dialogue, kind of Wes Anderson-y, silly day out in Kansas City. Super cute, warm colors, Italian music, stuff like that. And then I would say if I could pick one play from college, let's say one play from college. One of my favorite shows that I got to do was called Airness, and I got to play the lead in that. Her name was Nina, and it's about the competition of air guitar. And it was a very intense rehearsal process. We had to know how to do the air guitar just right because it's a sport, it's a competition. And we were taught by some professional air guitarists on how to do it right and what the pillars of air guitar are and what the competitions are like in real life. So I got to perform to I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett, and I was wearing a blue wig and green heels, and I'd never felt more free. It was awesome.
That was wonderful. Wonderful. Is there anything else that you want to say to people watching today?
Yeah, hello. Hey guys. First of all, free Palestine. Second of all, thank you so much for engaging with me. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at Lauren K. Smith, Lauren with two N's, Smith with two H's. All of my acting stuff is going to be posted there. I also have my production company Instagram where you are going to find all of the information about my play that's coming up for Fringe Festival. So follow Lilith KC Productions on Instagram and turn on the little notifications so you know when we'll be performing in July at the KC Fringe Fest. You can also find information at kcfringefest.com. And I think that's all the things. If you have any questions, I my DMs are open. If you're an aspiring performer and you want to talk to me about literally anything, if there's one thing I love, it's talking about this. So just freaking hit my line, you know? Let's do it.
All right. Very cool. Well, thank you, Lauren. I appreciate you talking with me today. And just so you know, the full episode will be on YouTube. And then I'm going to do probably two or three clips on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Cool. Love it. Sounds good. Do you need any of my social handles for
I
any
think
of
I
that stuff?
probably already have them actually.
I think you have, I think you follow all my, I don't know if you have my TikTok, but if you don't, it's attached to my phone number. So
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Lauren.
thank you so much, Kyle. This was so much fun.
All
I'll
right.
see you
See you.
next time.
Have a good
I'll see
day.
you in like a week on the vertical
Yeah.
set.
Yeah. July 2nd, I'll see you.
Love it. See you then.
See you. Bye.
Bye.